for coming to Manuela. In 1974, I spent the summer north of the border. That would be in Canada. What do I remember from 1974, in the summer of 1974? I remember being sat down in front of a television and being told, this is history, as President Nixon left the White House after the Watergate scandals. That was my first lesson of big politics. And big politics are about democracy. They're about transparency. They're about honesty and the tricks that go on. But some months earlier, in Portugal, dramatic things happened, historical things happened. And we were chatting before we started here, Manuela. I'm not going to reveal it, but we were the same age. In 1974. Around the 24th of April, something happened on the 25th of April that I'm sure has followed and defined everything that has then happened in developing your union, but also developing your country. So please, Manuela, tell us something about what happened the 25th of April, 1974, and then moving on to Fentrof and how you became.
Thank you, Haldis. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. It's great to be here with all of you. And yes, in the 25th of April, 1974, there was a revolution in Portugal. So tomorrow, it's the most important political holiday in my country, because it was a revolution that put an end to 48 years of fascism. And in fact, our experience helps to clearly understand the close intersection between education and democracy. It's what we are discussing here. Because during the period of the dictatorship, education was a privilege of a few. The regime didn't want uneducated people. That would be a threat. And so learning how to read, to write, and to count was everything that school had to do. And so at a certain moment, they closed the teacher training institutions. They didn't need them, and allowed people with no qualification to teach at primary schools. No wonder that in 1960, in Portugal, the illiteracy was over 30%, which means that in the mid of the 20th century in Portugal, illiteracy was higher than in the northern European countries in the mid of the 19th century, so 1 century before. In this context, the 25th of April revolution brought profound changes in schools and in society, Portuguese society. Some time ago, in a restaurant, a waiter was commenting with pride that his daughter was a judge. That would not have been possible before the 25th of April. Not only because the system, the education system, was elitist, but also because it was only with the establishment of the democratic regime that women were allowed to access judiciary, among other areas that were by then forbidden to them. If we compare the situation in Portugal 49 years ago with the situation today, not only in education but in all sectors of society, there is no doubt that the country has made remarkable progress in many areas, and that the democratization of access to education was the decisive factor to that progress. In fact, as the UN General Secretary, the Portuguese António Guterres, said, highlighted in the Transforming Education Summit, education changes lives, economies, and societies. So, in every anniversary celebration of the 25th of April, we reaffirm the role of public education in the implementation of the values and ideals of April: freedom, equality, solidarity, social justice, development, democracy. But at the same time, we also underline the persistence of structural problems as the result of erratic policies and a chronic underfunding of education. Almost 50 years after the 25th of April, Portugal still is the country in Europe where failure more connects with the low social, economic, and cultural background of the family. So we should have done more, we could have done more and better. So, as educators and trade unionists, tomorrow we will join the demonstrations that take place all over the country every 25th of April, and we will celebrate the universal right to education as one of the greatest achievements of our democracy. And at the same time, we will demand more investment in public education so that public school can fulfill its important mission. We still have a long way to go. But considering the 40th anniversary of FENPROF, as Haldi said, we are also, my organization, celebrating 40 years of existence. FENPROF is the largest teachers' organization in Portugal. It's a federation of several regional unions representing from educators from kindergarten to university, also researchers. And following the principle that everything that relates to teachers, or everything that relates to education relates to teachers, and everything that relates to teachers relates to their trade unions, during these 40 years of existence, FENPROF has fought hard and worked intensely to defend people's status and working conditions, and also to defend public education and public education system. I'd like to share with you 4 examples of 4 initiatives that FENPROF developed in 4 different decades. 3 years after its foundation, FENPROF contributed to the debate on a new education law adopted by the Parliament in 1986, with a proposal with 179 articles, so covering all aspects of an education law. In 1990, after the hardest industrial action process ever, a very old teacher's aspiration was achieved: the adoption of a teacher's career status. And the fact that in Portugal, all teachers from kindergarten to upper secondary have the same qualifications requirement to enter the profession, a master degree qualification, and all of them have the same career structure, that was very important for valuing the profession and also for the cohesion of the profession and its strength. In 2016, FENPROF was at the heart of an important social mobilization in support of the government's decision to reduce public funding to private schools. A march under the motto "Uniting Voices in Defense of Public School" gathered in Lisbon 80,000 people from the diverse sectors of the Portuguese society. And more recently, this year, on the 11th February, about 150,000 teachers participated in a demonstration in Lisbon demanding better working conditions and respect for the teaching profession. It was a huge demonstration. We are a small country, as you know, so the largest demonstration ever, promoted by a platform of 9 education unions. Another colleague from the other federation is also here participating in the ISDP, following an invitation of FENPROF to the other unions to unite forces and take common action together. we know that alliances are very important to achieve goals. So, to conclude, the future of the teaching profession and its implications on the quality of public education is a major concern for us now in Portugal, and it is at the center of our trade union action. The growing shortage of qualified teachers in Portugal and in many other countries threatens the future of education, the right to education, and also the future of our democracies. We need governments to recognize that education is not a cost, but an investment, and that the only way to stop teacher shortages is through investment in the profession. But in the absence of a constructive social dialogue and collective bargaining in Portugal and in many other countries, to make governments recognize this and act accordingly, we do have to strengthen our collective action, our organization, our mobilization, our engagement. And we must do it and continue to do it. As in Education International, we have been working in unity and in solidarity. So thank you very much.
Manuela, thank you so much for that reflection, and thank you for that history of your union working alongside the emerging democracy in your country. And it'll be exciting to see what you continue to share and what we continue to learn about that story.